him. Your feature started on this very stage recently and he's worked his way up. He is really, really funny. We're going to give him some extended time tonight. He's going to impress you, make you laugh. Put your hands together for James Mullan!
Yeah.
This is kind of surreal to me because never came a point in my life where I thought a room full of people would be told I would be talking at them and they would consider that a good thing. But first time for everything. As he said, this is my first feature set here, so I figure break the ice, let the audience get to know me a bit. For starters, I've got that Tourette's thing. It's really more of an inconvenience than anything. The worst part was the timing of its manifestation, because it happened in middle school, and at that point, I was already considered enough of a freak as is, that the only reason my position in the social hierarchy was above the kid who ate paste was its terrible taste. And it was also a dark time in America's past where Rob Schneider was making movies. And the first movie was called Deuce Bigalow, Male Gigolo, because there's apparently more than one gender of gigolo. And this film featured a character with Tourette's who would just scream and swear wackily, which was all right to me. What bothered me was people saw this movie and thought that's what Tourette's was actually like. Because if there's one man you can count on to accurately portray a complex neurological disorder on film, it's Rob fucking Schneider. So, spent about 6 years dealing with various combinations of this conversation. Hey James, what was that? Oh, that's just my Tourette. Do you just randomly start swearing? No, I twitch. Oh. It'd be funnier if you swore. Like, what a fucking awful thing to say to somebody. I'm so sorry to hear your neurological disorder doesn't amuse me, you failed Chester. If you found out somebody was autistic, would you approach them and be like, oh, I'm so sorry you're autistic. That must be terrible having to live your life knowing that Asperger's sounds so much funnier. Of course, I got picked on a lot because of it. That wasn't an annoyance to me. What bothered me is no one ever put any effort into it. It was always good. It's like, yeah, cool, I do that. Way to really fucking show me there. I had to come up with twitchy McBitch tits. And when the kid you're trying to bully picks on himself better than you do, quit being a bully. You suck at being mean. One kid came up with a nickname for me, and it was Blinky. Because out of the thing that really sticks out is blinking, right? And the only amusing part of this was he had a speech impediment, so he would call me Bwinky to mock my Tourette's. And normally, I usually let this slide because I was never one to pick the low-hanging fruit. But one day he was trying to show off to his friends, and he called over to me, hey Bwinky! So I calmly walked over to him, put my hands on the table, stared him dead in the eyes and asked, am I blinking? When he said no, I asked him to say really radical radishes. And he didn't even give it a shot, so I'd like to think my point was proven. I'm also, believe it or not, educated. I've got 2 college degrees. The first one was an associate's in liberal arts, which, for all intents and purposes, should be a picture of a man, dick in hand, just having at it. Then I got a bachelor's in communications, which is the same guy, but now he's finishing. And with this education, believe it or not, I'm having a lot of trouble in the job market because I've never really found anything suited to my particular skill set because perpetual failure's not a career. If it were, I'd be made because I would nail that interview. Mr. Mullan, we're looking for a candidate who's remarkably awkward in any and all social interactions, comically inept at dealing with women, and is incapable of pronouncing the simplest words without massive errors. Do you believe you're the candidate we're looking for? Absolutely! That's just the joke. The reality is worse. One time I was having a conversation with a friend, I forget the context, possible side effect of the joint we had just smoked. I know my mind was thinking double bacon burger, another possible joint side effect. What flopped out of my skull was Bracken Bacon Brugger, which I wanted to take solace in the fact I got one word right, but even by meatloaf standards, you need 2 out of 3 before it ain't bad. And since perpetual failure is not an actual thing, I do the next best thing and deliver pizza. which isn't really that bad except for the people who don't tip, and really the worst thing about that is if you want to keep your job, you can't do a fucking thing about it, which I disagree with. I think you should be able to say at least one mean thing to them, as long as you say it politely. Like, thank you very much, enjoy the food, hope you burn your tongue. Thank you very much, enjoy your food, fuck right off. There was one time I got to stick it to a guy who didn't tip, and this guy looked like basically the unholy hybrid of Fat Bastard and Jabba the Hutt. The first thing that happened when he opened the door is his cat ran out and he gave it, damn it. Which is already the best delivery ever, because I know this dude's not chasing after it, because I'm pretty sure the only thing that's ever run in his family is diabetes. And even if by some miracle of physics he could run, he can't even catch his own breath, nonetheless a fucking cat. So he gives me a $20 bill to pay for his food, and then I tell him something that crushed his soul every bit as much as Hostess going bankrupt. I told him, sir, your order is $20.10. He gives me the look, are you really gonna make me get the dime? Absolutely, sir. And I know I'm putting my time at risk having him look for this dime, because to find his own balls, this guy would need to enlist the aid of Indiana Jones. And it would still take him the course of one action-packed cinematic romp to find him. And for some reason, the Nazis would be involved. So I don't even know how long passed while he was looking for this dime. I just know the entire time I had the biggest shit-eating grin on my face, just thinking about this ham beast sweating pure Crisco, scattering around his house looking for a dime. When he finally gave it to me, it was, thank you very much, enjoy your food, hope your fucking heart explodes. This next one's gonna be a bit tricky. I've been nervous about trying this out on stage, but might as well. I'm pro-choice, and the abortion debate is one subject where everybody tends to get pretty heated on, and I try to stay calm and always try to understand the other side's beliefs, even if those beliefs enrage me to the point where I want to find a portion of their brain that believes that and flick it really hard. And that's the case with the pro-lifers who will go and say that they honestly believe if a woman is impregnated during a rape, they should tough it out and keep the baby, which is a horrifically insensitive thing to believe and say. But I understand why they believe and say such a horrifically insensitive thing. And that is because technically, Jesus was a rape baby. Mary did not have a say in that immaculate conception thing. Because the way it went down is Mary was the finest virgin in the land. Somebody put a ring on it, but was too lazy to finally hit it. So God sees a window of opportunity and he's gonna take it because who the fuck's gonna stop him? This is the omnipotent being that created everything, shrugged his shoulders, said fuck this and flooded everything, and created it all again like me when I play SimCity. So he sent an angel down to break the ice because when God uses a wingman, he's very literal about it. The angel goes up to Mary and is like, Mary, God thinks you're pretty fine. He wants to tap that. What do you have to say? Oh, you're married? Ever heard of this guy named Lot? Yeah, God asked his wife not to look over her shoulder. She said no. She's salt now. So, do I tell God it's a yes, or that he can fill up his pepper shaker and match the set? Oh, it's a yes. That's super. I'll let him know right away. Heads up, you might want to shave first. He's known to burn bushes. Also, I found this out earlier this year that I am a sucker for peer pressure. And it doesn't even need to be hard peer pressure. It just needs to be, hey James, we're doing this. I'm like, okay, I'm in. And I realized that when my friends basically did that and got me into a strip club, because I'm 27 and never had any real desire to go in, because I always had two preconceived notions of what strippers were like. The first one was a downtrodden woman whose life had gone off the rails to the point where her only means of survival is taking off her clothes to the same Warren song until cherry pie has lost all meaning to be exploited by disgusting men, and that makes me feel sad. The other notion is the woman who's very feminine and empowered and tricks the male gender on their obsession with tits to exploit disgusting men, and that makes me feel had. And when I went to the Gold Club in Bedford, I wondered if I'd see one or the other, a mix of both, and it was exclusively the former. The announcer had all the ladies up on stage at the beginning of the evening and presented them as the A-team, which I thought was bullshit because I didn't see Mr. T. And even if he were up there, that'd be still a wildly inaccurate name for this group of women, because the appropriate name would have been the C-Section Scar Squad. The first dancer must have been the new recruit because she was still pregnant, and I thought that would hinder her being a stripper, but she still went at it, gyrating, shaking, spinning around. And why would you do that with something growing inside of you? I mean, when you're baking a cake, there comes a point when you stop trying to mix the ingredients together and just let them be cake. And now, I'm not a doctor or even a baker, but I'm pretty sure that general principle should apply to babies and cake. I don't know. Maybe your plan was to liquefy the thing, so all the abortion doctor needed to do was push down on her stomach and make it come out like soft serve. And if it turned out that dad was black, it'd have been a twist. Finally, I got enough alcohol in me to the point I stopped worrying about airborne STDs and started having a bit of fun. And my friend decided to exploit this by tossing a stack of bills in my lap and calling a stripper over to me because he's a fucking asshole. And as I mentioned, I'm comically inept at interacting with women, and that's when they're fully clothed. And I know my friend just wanted to see me flailing around trying to interact with one that was half naked shaking their vagina at me. She didn't make it any easier for me either, because she came up to me and started pressing her tits together, motioning for me to put the money there, which wouldn't have been a problem, but she had an A cup. And that's not a knock against A cups, because they were still lovely breasts, but they just could not hold money. I didn't have a glue stick available to just... And I didn't feel like getting a stack of quarters to just try playing Plinko and plopping down her G-string. And she had the G-string. Why didn't she turn around, shake her ass at me, fantastic ass, could have put the dollar bills in the G-string conveniently and not have to stare into her dead, defeated eyes, which was the worst part of it. Because I'm an empathetic person, like I said, that made me really depressed. Not as depressed as prostitutes. And I don't mean the high-end call girls solicited by our elected officials and prominent businessmen. I'm talking about the ones you see on the street. Because street prostitutes live in an urban jungle, and they are prey subject to two types of predators. Cops who just play catch and release, and psychopaths who collect human trophies. And in particular, near my buddy's place in Somerville, there's one who has these little T-Rex stump arms. I feel awful for this woman, because if one of those psychopaths attack her, she can't do anything about it. And I thought that until I saw her open her mouth, and I realized evolutionary biology had granted her the deadliest natural weapon known to humankind: meth teeth. For those of you unaware of the effects of meth on teeth, it basically turns them into broken, jagged, hollow husks. And getting bitten by healthy teeth sucks enough as is, but meth teeth? That'd be awful. They'd break off in your skin like a bee stinger, you'd get gangrene, you'd get AIDS, it would skip the HIV courtship process and just be AIDS. And imagine if she procreated with someone else who had meth teeth, and the meth teeth got stronger. And centuries from now, we have an entire subspecies of human beings sprinting across the post-apocalyptic wasteland, spitting meth teeth out at their prey, like the dinosaurs from Jurassic Park that ate Newman. That is the most horrifying future I can imagine, and that is the reason I am pro-choice. Thank you very much.
Your featured James Mullan, ladies and gentlemen. Put your hands together for him. He was fantastic. His first feature spot, he crushed it. Thank you, James.